Alright, so this fight was announced about 24 hours ago or so, and Josh Hokit had been teasing that he was going to be getting a big name fight in the future, and when you talk about big name fights in the heavyweight division, it kind of has to be a ranked opponent, and it was announced that Hokit's going to be fighting against Curtis Blaydes, and honestly, the reason why I'm talking about this fight is because it's intrigued me. Ever since it's been announced, I've been thinking about this fight all the time. I just did a night shift, and pretty much during the downtime, I was thinking about this matchup. Of all matchups, I don't really consider the heavyweight division to be all that entertaining. I wouldn't really consider myself to be a fan of either of these two guys, but this matchup really has put me on notice, to be honest with you. I actually am quite excited to see what the result of this fight could be and discuss potential results as well. Because initially when I saw this fight announced, I thought, oh, I don't think that Josh Hokit's going to win this fight. I don't think that he can get Curtis Blaydes to the ground reliably enough. But then I remembered, Curtis Blaydes has been taken down 9 times by Jailton Almeida in 5.5 minutes. Yes, he did win this fight. He won it by TKO. He got taken down 9 times by Almeida out of 11 attempts and was controlled for 4 minutes and 40 seconds in total in that fight. So he was controlled for nearly all of round number 1, was dominated in the wrestling and the grappling, except for the times he was able to get up, but he was still taken down over and over again. So we know that Blaydes can get taken down. Blaydes' takedown defense, now albeit probably quite skewed due to this single matchup, because he hasn't really been taken down much in his entire career, is only 31%, but he has been quite known to be one of the best wrestlers in the heavyweight division. He's always been regarded as that best wrestler in the heavyweight division. So now we're going to be testing Hokit's wrestling. And the thing with Blaydes is, even though he hasn't really been wrestling all that much so far in his, I guess, recent UFC heavyweight career or whatever, he has been boxing a lot more. The chin has been suffering because of it. He's been getting knocked out quite a bit recently. But the boxing, I will admit, has started to improve. And I know it is Chris Dalkaus who is terrible, who is fat, who is useless. But Chris Dalkaus was considered a pretty good striker at the time, and we saw Blaydes not shoot a single takedown against Dalkaus and box him up the whole time. After that, it probably did give him a lot of unfortunate sort of confidence in his own hands, but we have seen Blaydes recently, I would say in the last maybe 4 or 5 years or so, start to really develop that striking, when in the past he just completely relied on wrestling altogether. And I think that's actually something that's going to help him in this matchup in particular, because Hokit, let's be honest, is a very inexperienced MMA fighter, if that makes sense. He's only 8-0 as a professional. He's never been the distance. All of his wins come into the first round, with the exception of his first ever fight in Bellator, where he did win in the 3rd round. So we haven't really seen this guy spend a lot of minutes in the cage. We haven't really seen him have to deal with maybe a pretty difficult cardio situation where he's gassing out. Maybe with the exception of his 2nd round. Sorry, I do apologize for that. But the 2nd round fight against Guilherme Uriel, which he was struggling to get takedowns in moments in that fight, and ultimately did end up finishing the fight due to Uriel gassing out. But that wasn't the best performance that we've ever seen out of Hokit. I would say he's actually stepped up quite a bit in the UFC itself. So yes, we know that he can get finishes by TKO on the ground, even knocked out Jimenez on the feet. But I don't feel confident in saying that Hokit's striking is going to hold up to Curtis Blaydes, based on an experience factor, based on the fact that we've seen Blaydes' striking develop over a long time. And Hokit's a guy that has competed in multiple different sports over his lifetime. I don't think he's been competing in MMA itself for super long, and that is what I think is going to be a very interesting sort of situation that we see him in against Blaydes, who I do believe is going to be a better striker than Hokit. And I know a lot of people are complaining about this fight, because you can look at the UFC's heavyweight division. When they sense that someone at heavyweight could maybe be good, they just give them a ranked opponent, like Taliesin Teixeira fought Derek Lewis, even Rizvan Kuniev fought Blaydes in his debut. And, that did kind of make sense, because Kuniev did have a pretty storied PFL run in the past, and people complained about that. People are complaining about this. I think that this fight actually is quite competitive, even though my initial lane still is Blaydes. I just thought that it is something important to notice, that Blaydes on percentage takedown defense is poor, but I do think it is mostly skewed to that Almeida performance. But if Hokit's wrestling is anywhere near as good as Almeida's, and I know he does have a wrestling background, maybe we do see him take down Blaydes reliably, because The thing about heavyweights is once you take these guys down, it takes them a lot of energy to get back up. And once you take wrestlers down, especially in the heavier weight classes, they typically do struggle to get back up a lot more than you would expect them to because they're the ones that are used to having the top control and that dominant position as well. I am going to pick Blaydes, though. I think that Blaydes is going to win this fight. If he doesn't get finished in the first round or maybe knocked out by something that Hokit's going to swing wildly, because I've always said this about Hokit's striking. I wouldn't say that it's great striking, but it's confident striking. Like, you can tell that he doesn't mind spending time on the feet, even if it is something that I would consider isn't the strongest part of his game. And just to add to this card, it is just a good card. You know, there is rumor that there's going to be a title fight at 205 pounds. Yuri versus Olberg, I think, is like the leading rumor, but I mean, Chimaev's been rumored in there as well. I'm pretty confident it's Olberg Yuri, just based on what I was told like a long time ago. Like, I'm talking about maybe 3 or 4 months ago, I was told about this fight. So I'm pretty confident we're going to see a main event announcement. Javan versus Taira has been confirmed to be the co-main. So, and it would make sense as well, because they usually do have the same sort of weight class on here. Like, if something really bad happened, maybe Walker could be like an alternate for the title fight. I know that would be dumb, but they've got someone on hand. I mean, actually, maybe it would be Mirzakhanov in hindsight, but you know what I mean? They've got people on hand to step up on short notice if something bad happened. But yeah, this is a good card. Holland versus Brown was announced for it. Dalkaus versus Luque was announced for it. Darst Knight versus Darst Knight, pretty fun. I know that Dalkaus literally calls himself the Darst Knight, but I've been calling Luque the Darst Knight for a while too. So there's a lot going on here on this card. I think it's a good one. Let me know what you think in the comments below.